Good Monday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, it's a brand new day, it's a brand new week, and that means it's a brand new opportunity for you to do something amazing, and it all begins today. Because you have your news headlines coming up on this Monday, with a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you'll be part of my conversation with author Amy Sarig King, discussing her brand new book, Attack of the Black Rectangles. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Monday headlines. In international news, Hurricane Fiona rips through powerless Puerto Rico. Hurricane Fiona struck Puerto Rico's southwest coast on Sunday as it unleashed landslides, knocked the power grid out, and ripped up asphalt from roads and flung the pieces around. Forecasters said the storm would cause catastrophic flooding and threatened to dump historic levels of rain, up to 25 inches possible in isolated areas. The storm also washed away a bridge in the central mountain town that police say was installed by the National Guard after Hurricane Maria hit in 2017. Fiona hit with maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, according to the U.S. National Hurricane Center. It was moving to the northwest at 9 miles per hour. Fiona struck on the anniversary of Hurricane Hugo, which hit Puerto Rico 33 years ago as a Category 3 storm. The storm's clouds covered the entire island, and tropical storm force winds extended as far as 140 miles from Fiona's center. U.S. President Joe Biden declared a state of emergency in the U.S. territory as the eye of the storm approached the island's southwest corner. Luma, the company that operates power transmission and distribution, said bad weather, including winds of 80 miles per hour, had disrupted transmission lines, leading to a blackout on all of the island. Health centers were running on generators, and some of those had failed. The health secretary said crews were working to repair generators as soon as possible at the Comprehensive Cancer Center. Fiona hit just 2 days before the anniversary of Hurricane Maria, a devastating Category 4 storm that struck on September 20th, 2017, destroying the island's power grid and causing nearly 3,000 deaths. More than 3,000 homes still have only a blue top as a roof, and infrastructure remains weak. In more international news, Biden's among thousands paying respects to Queen Elizabeth II. U.S. President Joe Biden paid his respects at Queen Elizabeth II's coffin on Sunday as thousands of police, hundreds of British troops, and an army of officials made their final preparations for the Queen's state funeral, a spectacular display of national mourning that will also be the biggest gathering of world leaders for years. People across Britain paused for a minute of silence at 8 p.m. in memory of the only monarch most have ever known. At Westminster Hall, where the Queen is laying in state, the constant stream of mourners paused for 60 seconds as people observed a minute of reflection and deep silence. In Windsor, rain began to fall as the crowd fell silent for the moment of reflection. The rain stopped as the crowd erupted in applause. Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were among thousands of mourners, from locals and tourists to royals and world leaders, to pay their respects. Biden signed the official condolence book and attended a reception on Sunday at Buckingham Palace hosted by King Charles III. He is one of 500 world leaders and royals invited to the Queen's state funeral today, along with hundreds of dignitaries, politicians, military veterans, and British officials. In entertainment news, The Phantom of the Opera to close on Broadway next year. The Phantom of the Opera, Broadway's longest-running show, is scheduled to close in February 2023, the biggest victim yet of the post-pandemic softening in theater attendance in New York. The musical, a fixture on Broadway since 1988, weathering recessions, war, and cultural shifts, will play its final performance on Broadway on February the 18th, a spokesperson told the Associated Press last week. The showing will come less than a month after its 35th anniversary. It will conclude with an eye-popping 13,925 performances. And finally, in more entertainment news, The Woman King takes North American box office throne. The Viola Davis-led action pick The Woman King easily conquered the North American box office in its first weekend in theaters against a crowded market of new releases. The film, directed by Gina Prince-Bythewood, surpassed expectations and earned $19 million in ticket sales, according to studio estimates on Sunday. The Woman King was released by Sony and TriStar in 3,765 locations and carries a reported production budget of $50 million. which was co-financed by E1. That made the top 5 movies over the weekend. Number 1, The Woman King with $19 million. Number 2, Barbarian with $6 million. Number 3, Pearl with $3 million. Number 4, See How They Run with $3 million. And number 5, Bullet Train with $3 million. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Monday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. Here's to another day of living life with purpose, passion, and understanding that greatness is not intended for just a few, but is available to all who give their best to everything they do. Now let's go make today amazing. Have a great Monday. Amy Sarig King is featured today's Entertainment Spotlight here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Best-selling author Amy Sarig King joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about the book Attack of the Black Rectangles. Here's a bit of our conversation. What has it been like for you to already see the early response to it?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I mean, I think it's interesting that a book I wrote, years ago is so timely now. It's not the happiest news, but I think it's wonderful to be able to lift up other people that were like, am I wrong about this? It's like, no, you're not. You should have access to books.
Yeah. So let's talk about your own love of books then, Amy. I think that's a great tie-in to this. When did you first kind of develop your own love of books?
Oh, I loved books from very early on, but the closer I got to, say, 5th and 6th grade, I mean, I was one of those people who would stay up way later than I should have just because I was reading a book. But the ones that really affected me and really helped me find who I was that was in 7th and 8th grade. That's when I decided to be a writer too, just even though I didn't know I could be, right? But it was just inspiring, and the reason behind that inspiration was because the ones I was reading were very honest, and it was such a relief. It was such a relief to have someone be honest in that way, an adult be honest with me.
And I think now, in your role as a storyteller and as a published author with books literally around the world, Amy, you're able to be able to share that love with others. So you mentioned something interesting. You said that this is something you wrote, some time ago. How did Mac kind of come to you?
Well, Mac came to me because there was a censorship situation in my child's elementary school. It was censorship as in crossing out of actual words, which is what the black rectangles are. And so I wrestled with that in real life. I didn't get a great outcome in my situation at the time. And I kind of wanted to write it out. That's what writers do, I think. We come across things that puzzle us or that we're very curious about, and we write it out to see how it works inside of our characters.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. We're going to get on tomorrow's more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Now let's go make it a great one.